So trimethylglycine. We're just starting in on a walk here. Gonna get about a 3-hour walk. Gonna do all indoor walking today. And my experiences on trimethylglycine. I gotta say, the second I started taking trimethylglycine this time around at the high doses, I just didn't feel right. I've been really worn out. I'm wondering if I'm just putting on muscle mass. I'm also really deep into keto carnivore and high vitamin C dosing, at least 5,000 or 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Also, this product right here, 40,000 volt minerals, and just getting myself back to former condition that I was in. It took me many months, and I admittedly got possibly too thin, but I really don't believe that. I think once you do get that lean, you've got to go back and start revisiting the board. And when you don't have the provisions, it stops you in your tracks. And that's essentially what happened to me. I got down. I didn't even weigh myself when I really did get down low, but I think I probably got down under 155 pounds at 6 feet tall. And for me, I felt thin, I felt weak. And my experience with TMG, trimethylglycine, is last year I had really good results and was doing very similar dosing with high vitamin C intake, minerals. Like, I'm really obsessive about when I do go into an exercise and diet routine, I'm very obsessive about finding out every single nutrient I need to take in. I came up with this formulation where I could do it really cheap and effectively. And so I finally discovered beef liver, and then I added in sardines. And then finally, I'm doing a certain number of eggs every day and magnesium with vitamin C. And just that alone, and then this supplement right here gives me the electrolytes and the boron that's missing. And I was a high-level trainer. Like, I worked for Equinox. I won awards, but this is way back. There's no boasting here at all, because I ended up going through a lot of different things that I've talked about on this channel. But long story short, I became obese and borderline alcoholic, and then high stressed and just working all the time. And I recorded it here on this channel and on other channels as well, and trying to find the remedy, trying to find how to still be a genuine person, how to still be, or even more genuine than I had been, more transparent, at least to myself and my loved ones, and more health oriented. I turned toward nutrition, and losing the weight is the hardest thing that you can do. Losing the body fat, but not getting absorbed in. Like, YouTube really sucks people into this whole algorithm of unhealthy, I would even say causes a lot of psychological problems for people that don't have, because I think about myself and the educations that I've had in the past, and if I wasn't sort of firewall shielded from that, I can only imagine what's going on with young people or people who are going through victimization on some level, which is, I think, all of us really, we are all experiencing cognitive dissonance. And so I even understood this stuff, and to this day, I can't even help my son. Everything that I buy as far as supplements or every recommendation I make is just kind of cast aside, particularly by the family. You know, paraphrasing that biblical scripture that references a physician not being able to treat their own people in their own town. Well, that's really what it's like. So, you know, don't expect people to go through some huge reformation around you. And I know that when you're a really solidly decent person and you realize the heart is what it's all about, and you don't want to move forward without your kids moving forward, without your loved ones moving forward. And the more you move forward, the more they feel like, literally, they see you moving forward while they move behind, slip behind. Carrying that along with you is the toughest thing you can possibly do. That is carrying the world on your back. Because what you'll notice is all these people who are billionaires don't give a shit about their family. They don't give a shit about their friends. And they live in a state where they don't even own themselves. They don't even have a self. So to really articulate how to do this, you need to begin at the core, at the center of who you are, what you stand for. And when you get into itemization of principles, what principles mean, most people live in this place where it's a very etheric, ephemeral, meaning like temporary place to exist, a finite place, right? You look at the diet, you look at the behavior, the harder you work out, the more you try, the more exhausted you are. And months go by like this. And when you've done this before, if you just walk away for 4 to 6 months and come back, you will feel exactly the same way. You will feel exhausted, you'll feel a little lost. And I watch certain channels that aren't carnivore because I've been on every diet imaginable. Not because I've been fat or overweight, but because I was working in the health and nutrition field, and I wanted the people that asked for my professional advice to know whether or not I was talking out my, you know what, just reading textbooks, or if I'd lived it and done it. And when you live it and done it, the clear-cut textbook answer no longer will suffice. In fact, you'll find that it's just a lot of fluff like everything else. I'd say the only exception to that is like maybe sports nutrition texts, which everyone should be reading, because your job is performance, right? I don't mean performance on a stage. It's good to not be obscure with those terms, because that's what this channel really focuses on. That's what my focus shifted toward. And I don't want to go off track too much because I really wanted to talk about trimethylglycine. It actually will help in a lot of these studies. It helps lower fat, your body fat, your visceral fat, or the fat that's stored as visceral fat. It's basically got these, not to get over scientific, but it's glycine, and it's got 3 different methylation groups. So basically what that means is your body is it's easy to assimilate into your system, and it's something you're already eating. You're already eating glycine. Glycine's the simplest amino acid of all the amino acids. Glutamine is the most abundant. The book that I recommended for 25 years, almost 25 years, going on 25 years, to all my clients, and I would even buy these books and hand them out because they were so dirt cheap at the time, is the book by Billy J. Saley, Heal with Amino Acids and Nutrients. It can save your life. And like everything, even orthomolecular nutrition, which is just a term that Linus Pauling came up with, that means to make right, to make your nutrition right. That's all it means. And to heal. But he wasn't making any claims even by titling it orthomolecular. It's just to make right. So this opened up the venue to be able to look at what Linus Pauling does or did. He passed away in 1993. He lived for many years just miles away from here, and he drove the same trek that I did from this area, the Monterey Bay, California area, up to the Stanford, Northern California, not even 100 miles from here. And there's a Linus Pauling Institute, and there's a Stanford Research Center that he did his studies through. And to this day, there are huge advocates of high dose vitamin C therapy. This is how doctors regard it to this day, is my son will no longer do the higher dose vitamin C or focus on the vitamin C, which is a synergist for many of the things that he needs done in his body to repair because of one uneducated, yes, an uneducated doctor. Doctors don't require any nutritional, especially the older ones, they don't require any nutritional education. I've at times had 70% of my clients, and I would train like 65 clients at a time. And 70% of my clients were doctors. And I would talk to them about physiology, anatomy, kinesiology, whatever it was they specialized in. All of them told me, you don't have to have any education in fact, it was one doctor confided in me that he'd only done a weekend seminar, and it was just an elective. And to be honest, he said, I didn't even have to do it. It wasn't detrimental to me getting my degree. So people look at them as if they know everything when they've just been conditioned. And the people that were railing against Linus Pauling are the ones who were being bought off by the pharmaceutical companies in the early 90s. That's why you don't hear about orthomolecular nutrition or the fact that orthomolecular science can make right. In essence, if you looked at it like the Greeks did, the term orthomolecular science means to make science right. Right? So what is believed in that field contends today as it did for all the years that Linus Pauling and his wife, as he was winning his Nobel Prizes, this was the most premier item in his life. And some might say that he was doing this when he won his Nobel Prizes. And it allowed him to be optimal. And that's really what he was talking about, is reaching optimal health. And it's very simple. High dose vitamin C. And at first, you're gonna have a vitamin C flush, if you're lucky, right? But some people are so backed up. And this gets into other sciences that have come forward, like liposomes, exosomes, right? Things like this, where more of the vitamin C is able to reach your blood system and less is just simply peed out, right? Or leaves in fecal matter, right? Or it's just simply not absorbed. And you could say that all that high vitamin C dosing may have led to he and his wife, Linus Pauling and his wife, contracting cancer because they weren't doing what I'm doing right now. Is wherever you're at, you should start pacing and walking. Not like you're nervous, not like you're frantic. Maybe your body will, associate that just through your motor neuron memory, right? Of why you would pace and walk back and forth. Maybe the last time you did it is when something really devastating occurred, right? But you'll soon just sort of go on autopilot. And the reason you do this is that it creates oxidative stress. It raises your cortisol levels, as does any exercise. Really just breathing does. It's stress. Stress is all around you all the time, and this helps you cope with stress. And the other thing that happens is you should focus in on gluconeogenesis, or just like protein only, right? I haven't even had my beef liver yet today. In fact, that's like probably the first thing that I'm gonna grab today is some beef liver. I haven't eaten anything. And that's the thing, is that you will forget to eat. The day will go by and you'll forget to eat. And you're not trying to do that. When you get everything that you need, you'll just simply forget, and that's okay. Now, a lot of people are very heavy and they get overweight because they are brainwashed into thinking that they constantly have to eat, right? They're told, oh, you eat this, you eat that, you do this, you do that. And sometimes doing nothing, eating nothing is the only thing that you should do. Beef liver. Miracle food. It loses its bad flavor. Not entirely. After the first few days. So, just walk wherever you are. I showed that I go out on walks. Went to Garrapatta. We go to the beach. I've walked around this whole area, this peninsula, countless miles. Same track. And to reference or assume that this walk is redundant, I mean, do you sit on a couch, right? Do you eat every day? This is the type of thing that should be synonymous with exercise, is that you just get moving. Like rice means literally to eat around the world. Walking should mean exercise. It's what we do. We're bipedal, right? We're preambulating about the world. We're finding our way through the world. We're circumnavigating throughout the world. And how do we do that? We get up and we walk. Some people can do handstands, but I don't know for how long. I know some disabled people can do things like that for amazing periods of time and even acclimate to being able to walk on their hands, you know. But as far as your typical person, right, your pedestrian, this is exercise. This is what we're born with. This is what we're born to do. If we don't, we're dead meat, literally. And in this society, people just learn to talk. They talk a big game. They don't move much. They stress out. They yell. They perceive themselves as having personal power and clout. But in actuality, you could look at it almost like a whole Kundalini type connection, right? Not that I totally go with that, but to where all these different areas of your light body, or we won't go off in that direction, but your endocrine organs and those 9 layers of the human body are all in sequence, respirating and firing off together, right? So many people just sit. They sit, they think, they're stressed, they're not moving. And this nation could be saved if people would start walking. And I don't necessarily mean outside. Like when you think about it, you have to stop at stoplights every single time you go for a walk. Or you're walking down, by the beach around here, or most people live in dangerous areas where if they do go walk 5 miles, they're now in an area that they wouldn't even drive through. And the bike trails and the walking trails lead them into certain danger. And you'll wonder, you'll be like, am I getting set up? So you can see that if I have 10 steps here, let's count them. Let's see. Yeah, it's 10. So we got about 10 steps when I'm just stepping normal. Right? If you got about 10 steps, you're not going to go crazy. Even if you have like 8 steps, you'll get used to that. And I've done it in more cramped rooms. Right? But once you throw in the human dynamic, it changes everything. Like other people being annoyed by you. So it's very difficult to continue on with what you do. And just doing it is enough. You can get rid of every bit of fat off your body just by walking. You know, it might take a few more months than if you're actually doing resistance training. And you might lose muscle mass. But ultimately, you'll have more brown fat. Your metabolism will be revved up. Your endocrine organs are going to be healthy. The cravings are going to change dramatically. And I give people the food list, the base food list as well, the diet to go on. The exercise is walking. And the diet is beef liver, sardines, and eggs. The supplements that are highly recommended, and I'd even venture to say absolute, concrete, required, needed, are what I showed you here. This gives you the boron, the chloride, and the electrolytes and sulfur. And then magnesium on top of that, but you don't have to because there's magnesium in there, and vitamin C. That's all you're gonna need. That's it. And then if you can only afford to or only have access, maybe you just have it at work. That's when you drink it. It's at least half a gallon of water a day. And most people live in hot areas. You're going to need a lot more than that. You need to up your water intake by like a good half gallon. Then this has caused issues with hyponatremia. There was that thing where that years ago where that radio host was challenging people how much water can you drink, and a lady actually died of hyponatremia. Like too much water in the cells, literally drowning. So chugging is actually good to do, but it's when you drink the water that chugging is actually advisable, where you get more water in your system. And now, the moment that I start walking, I will feel my metabolism kick in. Then it's just kind of a battle between oxidative stress and more aerobic left ventricle hypertrophy type training. And it's really easy to do. You don't need fancy equipment. You can go in and do circuit training. Like I could drop down and do a set of push-ups, rest as long as I want. I'm not resting, I'm walking. So however long I want to take, I'm going through active recovery is what it is. And so if I wanted to use a heart rate monitor, it would give me a precise, and I used to use one for quite a while. It made a huge difference in my training when I realized that when I would do even though my resting heart rate was low, relatively low, 60 or under at times, my heart rate would go up to 210 or higher during a really intense max strength exercise. That's how much I put into it. Each set was just like, very intense, very precise, very focused. And you get better at that. Everyone can. You just focus on that exercise. And a lot of times you work more on the explosive aspect of it. And if you're working with pain, you can start looking at things like trimethylglycine, getting the homocysteine levels lower, getting things that cause inflammation lower, working NMN with it. Some people, and you can get this through food, but you just can't get just like vitamin C, you can't get the absolute numbers. You can't quadruple, that. And today I started out with 5,000 milligrams of trimethylglycine. Betaine, it's right here. Betaine anhydrous. That's the back. This is a good one. It's a good one. So there's 1,500 milligrams in there. This is how you get into a healthier state of mind. A lot of times we think we are who we are. We get too comfortable being who we are. And then we don't realize that that's not really who you are. You really are an expression of whatever you did yesterday and whatever you're assuming that you're going to do tomorrow. And you realize that this is what's limiting you. Your idea of yourself is actually limiting you from becoming yourself. And it's both a test and a challenge. This isn't a channel where I get into doing ridiculous numbers of repetitions on exercises. Health is always first. Those people are not healthy. They're chasing after something that they should have forgotten long ago. They're competing. When you compete with other people, you're not going to achieve anything. And that's why I'm not following in the algorithms right now. Sinking into the algorithms because I'm not patronizing and following along with any format. But if other people started to mimic me, it wouldn't recognize that I'm the one that started doing things in this way. It doesn't give you any credit. The credit is however much money you can steal by the end of the day. It's like money is just blowing around you. Whatever you can stuff in your pockets, and the greedier you are, the more capitalistically inclined you are, the more you get away with. I'm going to end it there.